As noted earlier, one of the key things to come up with ethics, and ethics-led evaluative learning became the focus of so much of the work that we were doing. The question always on our minds was, how do we integrate ethics in very practical ways in classroom settings? Well, handprint care as an ethics-orientated approach to ESD, as positive learner-led action learning in school subjects, is quite a mouthful and quite a number of things to actually look at and pull together. And we did this as a group working cooperatively under the idea of handprint, where we looked at ESD processes originating in open-ended true stories. And these stories raised local concerns and provoked leading questions for truth-seeking experimentation. And the idea of truth-seeking experimentation was drawn from Gandhian philosophy and also from a lot of the practical work that we do, looking for solution and trying to explore things together to enhance livelihoods and living things through hands-on learning actions for the common good. And this is a simple little phrase, orientating phrase, that we found very useful since our Ahmedabad meeting in 2019, where we started to relate the ideas to Anne Edwards' task sequencing. So we realized that true stories, and we experimented with teachers working in their classrooms. They came back and said, wow, true stories are a really good startup to raise questions for students to begin to find out things for themselves and to be able to lead the process, and then to deliberate and work things out in ways that they found meaningful, and then to try out. Now, we still hadn't brought out the ethics very adequately, so we referred to Nell Noddings with some help from a friend of mine, Hala Sasitka, where we looked at ethics and cognition. And what Noddings notes is that empathy is both cognitive, knowledge, and emotional. And you'll see that, we started to already look beyond the idea of cognitive, social, emotional, and behavioral dimensions and look at them as much more intermeshed developmental processes. And what Noddings proposes is that modeling is really important for the startup and story sharing. So it starts on sound, sort of ethical orientations, and then dialogue, open dialogue for deliberative finding out in quadrants 1 and 3 and 4. And then practice in quadrants 2 to 3, actually doing the practical work, the learners taking much more initiative in working out and trying things out for themselves. And then confirmation and affirmation by the teacher and affirmation by each other. So what she points to is that they are all activated within and depend for the success on the establishment of caring relations in a classroom. So that the idea of modeling, dialogue, practice, and confirmation or affirmation of ideas is really important. The whole ethos that is achieved in a classroom for handprint care to work. So these became really practical aide-memoire for us to be able to look at, can we involve the children in evaluative learning that is ethics-led and that leads to depth deliberation and the students taking a lead in this work. So here are some references that you might find useful to deepen these ideas.